Hey guys, Alex here. Welcome back to Alex holding his phone up in awkward public spaces. I'm in Warsaw. This is the, if you can see it, where has it gone? It's completely disappeared. There's the Jewish History Museum through there. And I'm in Warsaw, I'm in Poland. And just spending a bit of time here while the world processes the chaos of COVID. Been here for a few weeks. Liking it very much. Lovely country, lovely people. And thought I'd get myself back on film. It's been such a long time and I feel a bit sheepish getting back on after having promised you so many more videos. I have been sharing a few videos over at Instagram, so if you haven't followed me there yet, make sure you do. I am Alex Mathers on Instagram. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about mindfulness and productivity, and can the two coexist? So for those of you who have followed my stuff, and for those of you interested in consciousness and mindfulness, you'll certainly know that that's an area of interest of mine. Having spent a lot of my life in anxiety, frustration, anger, fear, insecurity, that has meant that I've spent a lot of life searching for relief from those things, from the pain, the seeming suffering that comes out of these things that we label as these bad things. And mindfulness was one of the kind of clear-cut winners in my pursuit of what could solve my problems, what could solve my insecurities. Mindfulness and Eastern philosophies, Buddhist philosophies particularly, often came to the fore in terms of, how can I solve these problems? How can I become more calm? How can I reduce stress? Right, and often mindfulness, meditation, that kind of stuff, being the third-party observer of one's thoughts rather than being the thought, was a really interesting take on psychology for me. And so I spent the last decade plus absorbing insights and ideas and texts and whatever else was something that I could learn about the whole thing about mindfulness. So you might want to look up what mindfulness is. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but essentially mindfulness is the practice, the development of the muscle of being more present and being separate to one's thoughts, and being able to observe thought rather than being wrapped up in thought and rumination, which is often the cause of so many, and is the cause of so many of our problems. Because our problems are ultimately psychological. It's all about interpretation. So for me, mindfulness was always very important. I've not necessarily been the most consistent student of mindfulness in terms of actually practicing it day in, day out, but I certainly keep it close to my hip, and I certainly see the value in it. And I try and meditate as often as possible. It hasn't been very much recently, I have to say. But I've often been in conflict. I don't know if you guys have as well, but I found it conflicting, the idea of, can I be mindful? Can I live a mindful life? And can I bring meditation into my life? And can I be more zen, shall we say? While at the same time appeasing the side of me that wants to be ambitious, that wants to build an empire, that wants to drive forward out into the world, into the marketplace, and create things and make money and build things and be 10x, be successful, that kind of stuff. Can the two coexist? Does mindfulness actually work? Or can you be productive? Can you be successful? Can you be an empire builder when you are also a mindful person, and you're a Zen-like person, and you are living in accordance with a lot of the ideas espoused by Eastern philosophers? I'm grasping at words here, but you know what I mean. There's the ability to just be conscious. That's what I'm looking for, while also being productive. Can the two coexist? Well, having spent a lot of my life thinking that they can't, it came to the realization recently that of course you can. You can be mindful. And in fact, I wrote an article on this recently. True productivity, the best kind of productivity, the best, most creative, most insightful kinds of productivity rely on mindfulness. They rely on you being conscious for it to work, right? For it to make a connection, for you to actually be productive, for you to get stuff done. Because when you think about the times when you've been most productive, it's usually when you've been in flow, right? When you've sort of lost yourself to the moment and you've, without thinking too much, created, whether it be writing or painting or music. And that hasn't required you to try to be mindful. It's just been when you've been mindful. And that's the paradox of mindfulness. You can't really try to be mindful, although you want to at least move in that direction to start. So what I've seen is that when productivity works, when I have been productive, when I have done stuff and gotten things done, it's when I've been mindful. It's when I've been right there with the thing and I haven't had my mind and my thinking somewhere else. And I haven't been sort of sitting down planning on doing things and planning on taking action. I've actually been taking the action. And of course, the best kind of action and the most effective kinds of action is when you are not multitasking, when you are one-to-one with the thing in front of you and you're actually totally present and totally there with the thing. So mindfulness absolutely is not only possible with productivity, it's a requirement for productivity. And what I found is that when I am truly mindful and I can kind of keep it going and I stay focused on what I'm doing, thinking becomes less, right? If I'm in motion, I'm in my body, I'm in action, I'm not thinking so much. I'm not trying to anxiously predict what's going to happen. I just let things come as they come. And of course, that's when my energy goes up. That's when I'm more fluid with what I do, and there's more energy and there's less blockage. And so the work becomes actually better. The quality of the work goes up. The creativity and the insights flow more freely, and I become better at what I do. So again, that's another win for productivity. So yes, the two can go hand in hand. Productivity relies really on mindfulness, and if you are to dedicate a portion of your day to something like meditation, for example, see it as training ground, see it as a form of practice for being productive in whatever area you want to be productive in. Mindfulness practice is practice for getting stuff done. You can live a life that is productive in other ways. I think productivity depends on who's doing the defining of productivity. I mean, I define productivity in terms of creating videos and creating content and creating new clients and delivering classes and workshops and things like that. But for other people, productivity might just be being able to creatively muse on an idea and come up with fascinating insights just within their own minds, and not necessarily put down those insights on paper or a poetry or whatever it is. It might just be that you just keep those insights for yourself. Or you might just teach it to one other person, face to face, verbally, whatever it is. That can be seen as productivity as well. So have no fear. If you're worried, I wonder how many of you actually are, but I certainly was. I was concerned that, am I wasting my time meditating and being mindful and following people like Thich Nhat Hanh and Eckhart Tolle and that kind of philosophy on just be present the whole time. It gives the sense that you're not going to get much done, right? It seems too passive, too limp, a little bit kind of time wasty, and that's okay, because a lot of creativity comes out of doing nothing, right? So don't forget that either. But ultimately, if you want to create things as well, being present is the best state you can be in. Where else are you going to be? So that's an area of life that is certainly worth cultivating and taking an interest in, right? Being enthusiastic for. Like, it's okay to be enthusiastic in Buddhist teachings and anything that, even in Christianity, whatever it is, anything that relates to centering and being present and being there. A lot of Jesus Christ's teachings were, they very much mirrored a lot of the Buddhists' teachings, because it ultimately relates to truth and what we know to be true. And what we know to be true is that ultimately the conscious mind is the most effective mind, the most creative mind. So be there, go there more often, I would say. Develop mindfulness, enjoy mindfulness, immerse yourself in it, inject mindfulness into your bloodstream, and know that it is contributing to your ability to produce and your ability to create, and the two do go hand in hand. And as I'm approaching beyond 10 minutes, my internal video clock says, Alex, it's time to call it a day. There's the museum behind me. Stay tuned, there'll be more videos coming through at a more consistent rate. I think one of the big reasons I held back on creating over the last month was because I had this idea in my head that I would create really high quality videos, and of course that made me unmindful. It made me in my head. I got stuck in my head because I thought there's too much to do and too big a mountain to climb, so I never did anything. So think of that. If you want to get stuff done, be mindful, be present with it. All you got to do, and this is really the key thing, and I'm giving you lots and lots of props and respect for having stuck around at this point of the video, but the key takeaway really is one thing at a time. If you guys are feeling overwhelmed, or you're struggling with having too many things on your mind, I can absolutely relate, especially being an ambitious type, an overthinking type. There can be a lot of things you feel inclined to juggle in your mind, and of course that only makes you less effective. So one thing at a time. If you're feeling overwhelmed, what can you focus on next? What can you do next? What can you tick off your list? And how can you do that with the most energy and the most focus and the most just consciousness that you can. That's all that is required to get through life enjoyably, right? To enjoy life is just to be there with the thing, and to not worry too much about trying to get everything right and try to get all your ducks lined up. Just do whatever's next that feels right to be done. Immerse yourself in that thing, finish it, enjoy it, and then move on to the next thing, and then you'll be productive. And that's mindfulness and productivity in one. Effectively, they're the same thing. Speak soon, guys.